Hi, today I'm gonna show you how to knit this cable dog sweater. Let's get started. Let me show you the sweater I knitted already. I don't know how to call this design, but looks like a diamond shape cable design. It's really hard to see because of the yarn I choose. By the way, please check my description box for all the details like a yarn, needle, and even written pattern. And let me show you one more thing. I knitted it my shawl with same yarn. I kind of want to have fun with my dog. I put the link for this shawl in my description box. So if you want to knit, same thing, you can do that. And one more thing. For the cable design, you need 48 stitch. This is the reason why I use the thinner yarn this time. This is number 3 yarn. Cast on multiple of 2. I made 90 cast. As I told you earlier, for the cable design, you need 48 stitch for the back piece. So if you're knitting for much smaller dog, you might need to use smaller, thinner yarn. All right, this is actually for my 10-pound yoki. After you make the cast, you will connect both ends. I'm using much longer cable, so I'm gonna use the magic loop technique. But if you have right length of the cable, you don't really have to do the magic loop technique. And I'm gonna put the link in my description box. So if you never done the magic loop technique, you can watch that video as well. Anyway, I am going to start with neck rib. This sweater is knitting from top to down. Here is the connecting both ends, and the rib should be repeat of knit 1 and purl 1 until your desired length times 2, because I'm gonna make the double neck. If you're not gonna make the double neck, you don't really have to knit that long, okay? And from the second row, you just have to knit over knit stitch and purl over purl stitch. I knitted it about 5" for neck rib. There we go. My neck rib has done about 5". Again, I am going to do the double neck. You don't really have to. This is optional, but if you do double neck, looks more like professional. But you can just, fold, right? So you don't really need to. Anyway, you're facing to right side, and even if you fold like that, it's completely okay. But if you want to do the double neck, you have to fold inward. You have to face to right side. So wrong side together like that. All right. And start with knit stitch, right? So flip and look at the back of the knit and stitch, which is purl. So you go straight down to the bottom, just straight down. Follow the purl stitch, and right there, that's the bottom. And you pick up stitch at the very bottom like that. Take your time, and it's not gonna show out front, so don't worry about it too much. Then, the first one is knit, so knit two together like that. There we go. And then next is purl. Then at the back, the next stitch should be knit, right? On wrong side. And you pick one last stitch at the end like that. Then purl two together this time because the neck rib was knit one and purl one, repeat, right? So this is how you do the double neck. Okay, pick up the stitch at the very bottom, straight down, then knit two together or purl two together. It's really, up to you, but there you go. Double neck is done. So I would like to do the setup row, which is all knit. Okay, and setup, which is you're adding the markers. PM means place the marker. So right after the begin marker, knit one and put one marker. Then knit one, then place the marker. In between two markers, always one stitch. And all knit after second marker. And add two more markers for side. This is divided by front piece and back piece. Front piece includes mid chest. Obviously, that's the mid chest stitch. And here is the old dog sweater. That's the mid chest, leg hole, and tummy. Mid chest right there. So you have to count stitches evenly from mid chest and divide it by 2. For me, from the mid chest, I count 22 and 22 plus 1 mid chest, 45 for front, then 45 for back. That's how I count. Also, for the back piece, you have to add 2 more markers for leash opening. Right after this, I am going to create leash opening at the back of his neck. And please be aware, the way I do leash opening is same as leg opening. All right, so those 2 orange markers are for leash opening. I took 17 stitches there. And I want to talk about one more thing before I start. Because sometimes I get question. My dog is very chunky like French Bulldog or American Pit Bull. After the neck, very muscular. If so, before you do start chest increase, you might want to increase some stitch. Maybe 20-30% of the whole stitch. Example, my whole stitch is 90. 90 times 30% is 30 stitches. So you might want to increase 30 stitch before you start. Because chest increasing, whenever you hit the top of the dog legs, you have to stop increasing. But sometimes that's not enough for very muscular dog, right? So then you might want to increase right after the neck, then start chest increasing. That'll be, maybe better. this is the chest increasing, right? Right after the neck, you start increasing gradually towards to leg. Then once you start leg opening, you have to stop increasing, right? So let's make leash opening now. Until I finish the leash opening, I decide I am not going to increase anything. All right, so just knit around. Okay, so you need all knit row 3 times. Okay, and while you're knitting 3 rows all knit, I am going to make leash opening. So knit until the first orange marker right here, then remove the orange marker, which is leash opening marker, and you have to bind off 17 stitch. That's actually for me, it's really up to you. So 2 knit, then 1 bind off. Then from now, just knit 1, then bind off. And again, this is same method as leg opening, so please remember how to do it. And one more thing I gotta tell you, once you hit second leash opening marker, which is actually coming very soon, you bind off 1 more stitch. I'll show you, and you probably know what I mean. So binding off, and the second marker will be coming up. There we go. The stitch on the right needle, there we go, that's the one. That's the last stitch you have to bind off. Okay? So again, I said 17 stitch, so that's the 17th stitch that I have to bind off. You have to remember. Then just knit until begin marker, then coming around. That's the second all knit row. Here comes the begin marker. It's going to be second all knit row, and again, until I finish the leash opening, I am not going to increase chest. And once you knit until no more stitch, which is where you bind off, you have to add new cast to connect the other side to create the leash opening. Here comes. Use your left finger and then add new cast, same number of you bind off, which is 17 for me. 3 new cast, 4, 5, 6. Okay, you gotta remember how to do it. I bind off 17 stitch in previous row, so now I'm adding 17 new cast. Then after you add 17, same number of the stitch, you just continue knitting. That's about it. But I'm gonna knit 1 more round, so that leash opening area is gonna be stable, because back of the sweater I am going to add cable design, so around the leash opening has to be stable. Here comes, and this is easy enough, but it's a little bit tough, because as you can see, if you pull too hard, See, it's gonna be very tight. So you need little technique there, but the important thing is take your time. Be patient. Now I'm going to knit increasing for chest and the cable design for back. And as I told you, I need 48 stitch for back design. So I am going to remove side stitch to create 48 stitch. So 45 for my back. So I move 2 stitch the other side and 1 stitch this side, something like that, and creates 48 stitch. So you're not gonna get confused. Okay, front piece you are going to increase around the chest. For back you are going to create the design, cable design. And now you need my written instruction for back design. Front row number 1. Knit until the first marker. So knit 1. Now make 1 right. Pick up the thread like that. Then knit 1 that stitch. This is make 1 right because it's the right side of the marker. Then slide the marker, knit 1, slide second marker, and right after the second marker you make 1 left. There you go. Pick up the running thread from the front, then back loop at the stitch, you knit there. This is make 1 left. Make 1 right and make 1 left. Right before and after. Then front piece, except the increasing, they're all knit. Okay, then after the back piece, all knit back to the front, begin marker. You gotta remember that. Back row number 1. This is kind of the setup row, so you have to be very careful, but very straightforward. Purl 6. The cable knitting setup row is important. Okay, purl 6, then knit 4, another purl 6, then next is width and bracket, which means repeat, and I wrote it how many times you have to repeat, which is knit 4 and purl 2, 2 times. Knit 2. Then next knit 4 and purl 6, 2 times. Once you finish this pattern, you hit the second green marker because exact 48 stitch. This is the reason why I want you to move the side marker. So if you have 1 stitch left or not enough, which means you make mistakes somewhere. So you gotta go back and fix it, right? Always 48 stitch. There we go. And again, after the back piece, you have to knit until the begin marker. The increasing part is only around the mid chest. There you go. And knit until begin marker. And next row for the front, all knit. And you just have to repeat front row number 1 and front row number 2 until top of your dog's leg. That's about it. You don't really have to worry. Just increase on number 1 and all knit on row number 2. That's about it. Okay? So you have to focus on back design. Back piece, you have to follow the cable knitting. Okay? And front piece, all knit except the mid chest increasing. Anyway, so back row number 2 after that green marker. Okay, and there is cable knitting kicks in, so you really have to watch carefully if you've never done this before. Okay, so obviously you need cable needle. So new technique in this row is C4B and C4F, which is cable for back and cable for front. So let's do it. First of all, purl 6. Easy, very straightforward. Purl 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then cable for B. Next 4 stitch, you need to use those 4. Pick up 2 stitch with cable needle like that. Then put this cable needle at the back because it says cable for back. Then knit 2 from left needle. 1, 2. After that, come back to cable needle, then knit 2. This is cable for B. Then knit 6. Purl 6. After purl 6 with some bracket, repeat 2 times. Cable for front. Easy. Pretty much same, except the where to put the cable needle. Pick up 2 and front, out front. Then knit 2 from left needle. 1, 2. Then come back to cable needle. Then knit 2. If this is your first time, just take your time. That's all I can say. Okay, anyway, so purl 2. And again, C4F. I told you you have to repeat with some bracket. Pick up 2 and put out front because cable for front. Knit 2 from left needle. Then come back to cable needle. Then knit 2. This is cable for front. Very easy. And rest of them you can actually do without my help, right? Because, purl 2, then cable for front and purl 6 2 times. But I will show you, one more time for just in case. Pick up 2 with cable needle, then put out front because cable for front. Knit 2 from left needle, then come back to cable needle, then knit 2. And every single cable knitting, I will write it down in the description box. So if you don't remember, you just have to kind of peek and make sure you're doing right. Purl 6. Once you get used to do the cable knitting, it's not that difficult. And in this pattern, there's 4 different cable knitting method. And I will tell you every single one. Then after that, you can actually knit, follow my, the written instruction. It's not that difficult. Okay, I'm doing the cable for front. Then last 6 stitch should be purl 6. And again, after the back piece, that's end of the, the front piece, right? So you have to knit until the begin marker. Please do not forget about it. All right. And after this, I'll show you how to increase more carefully. There you go. Make one right. Okay, which is right side of the marker. You have to make one right. Knit 2, until the marker. Then running thread. Pick up running thread like that. Then hook onto the left needle. Then knit there. That's make one right. And make one left. Pick up the thread. There you go. Then use back loop of the thread, then knit one there. This is make one right and make one left. Very easy. Back row number 3. It's easy. Knit over knit stitch and purl over purl stitch. But you really have to look which stitch, because with the cable design, it twisted, right? So you really gotta see. And sometimes you have to look at the pattern in previous row. What did you do? Then you figured it out, right? So those are cable for back, so has to be knit 4, something like that. So again, if you not sure which stitch are they, you gotta go back the pattern to make sure which stitch you made in previous row. Back row number 4. You already learned how to knit cable for B and F, so you can do this by yourself, but I'll show you one more times. Okay, purl for to start, then C for B. Pick up 2 stitch with cable needle and put out the back. Then knit 2 from left needle, then come back to cable needle, then knit 2. This is cable for back. And right after that, you have to make cable for front. So pick up 2 stitch with cable needle and put out front. Then knit 2 from left needle, then knit 2 from cable needle. Sometimes it's tight, but just take your time. And you have to, follow the written instruction after that. There's nothing new technique. And rule number 5 is knit over knit and purl over purl stitch. So I meet you at rule number 6. And you just have to keep front piece, increasing and all knit. Here comes back row number 6. There's new method coming. Purl 2, then C4B twice. Pick up 2, put out the back, and knit 2 from left needle, then come back to cable needle, then knit 2. And you gotta do one more time. It says C4B times 2. Then, there you go, at the back. And in this row, there's new technique, 2 of them, okay? As you can see, 2/2 LPC and 2/2 RPC. Those 2 techniques are new, so I'll show you, okay? This is the second time of the C4B. Now, C4F, pick up 2, put out front, knit 2 from left needle, then knit 2 from cable needle. This is cable 4 front. Then purl 2 after this. You really have to read pattern carefully, okay? So purl 2, then 2/2 LPC. Purl stitch kicks in. Pick up 2, okay? Then put out front. Then purl 2 from left needle. Purl 2. Come back to cable needle. This time, knit 2. This is 2/2 LPC. Then C4F, cable 4 front, times 2. This is easy already for you probably. So LPC and RPC, purl stitch involved. This is C4F, so only knit stitch. And second time of cable 4 front. Knit 2 from left needle, then come back to cable needle, then knit 2. Then here comes 2/2 RPC. Pick up 2 stitch as usual, and you put cable needle at the back. Then this time knit 2 from left needle, then come back to cable needle, then this time purl 2. This is 2/2 RBC. After this, straightforward, you already know how to do C4B and C4F. So I'm not gonna, go through with you, but, after this, I'll actually show you how to do the cable knitting once again, but you can actually do rest of them by yourself. This cable design complete on row number 28, and you have to repeat row number 1 to row number 28 until your desired length. Now I want to talk about the cable needle. What's the difference between you put the cable needle out front or at the back? If you put the cable needle out front, this cable design shift to the left. If you put the cable needle at the back, this cable design shift towards to right. That's the difference. So if you take a look at the 2/2 LPC and RPC, what's the difference? LPC, you have to put the cable needle out front. L means left. Left means cable needle at the front. And RPC is the other way around. You put the cable needle at the back, which means cable shifting to the right. Let's practice. This is nothing to do with pattern. C4B, cable for back. Put the cable needle at the back, which means shifting to the right. Pick up 2 stitch with cable needle, and cable needle should be at the back. Then knit 2 from left needle first. Then knit 2 from cable needle. This is cable for back. The cable shifting towards to right. Next is cable for front, C4F, which means cable shifting towards to left. Pick up 2 stitch with cable needle and put out front. Then knit 2 from left needle, 1 and 2. Then come back to cable needle, knit 2 from cable needle. C4B and C4F is all knit method. Here comes 2/2 LPC. LPC stands for left purl cable. Pick up 2. Shifting left, which means put the cable needle out front. Then purl first. Purl 2 from left needle. Then come back to cable needle. This time knit 2. This is 2/2 LPC, left purl cable. Last one, 2/2 RPC. RPC means right purl cable. Pick up 2 and right shift, which means put the cable needle at the back, then knit 2 from left cable first, then purl 2 from cable needle. This is 2/2 RPC. Anyway, keep knitting until you hit top of the dog front leg and meet you right there. Here and there, if you have a dog with you, you want to put that on to your dog and make sure, you knit enough or not. This is enough for my dog. So let's start leg opening, which is same as leash opening. So I'm not gonna, tell you every detail. For the back part, you just keep knitting, following my, the written instruction, and I add markers for leg opening. You have to count stitches from mid stitch so you can, count evenly, right? Left and right. And right side is including the begin marker. There we go. So I'm gonna pass the right leg first, okay? I am going to do left leg first, then come around, knit the back, then do the right leg. All right, so from the beginning, you have to knit till the second leg, okay, past the first leg opening. The reason why I want to pass the right leg, that's because that this is end of whatever the row you're doing, right? So the leg opening has to be on the same row. This is the reason why I'm gonna pass the first leg opening. Anyway, I'm gonna knit until next leg opening, which is left side. And again, leg opening is same as leash opening. So first row, you have to bind off whatever you want. And then next row, you have to add new cast. That's about it. But, just refresh your memory. I just want to show you a little bit. Okay? So here comes left side of the leg. Remove the marker and start binding off. First of all, knit 2, then 1 bind off. After this, knit 1, then bind off. And remember, after the second marker, you have to bind off 1 more. That's about it. Okay, so meet you next round, which is right here. This is the right side of the leg opening. Here comes. Remove the marker. And there's the begin marker in between, right? You should count stitches because, again, next row you have to add new cast, right? So you have to remember where is the begin marker should be. it doesn't really, matter too much, but if you want to be close to perfect, you should count. Anyway, I'm binding off. Now, the other side of the leg, which you already bind off in previous row, now you have to add new cast and same amount as before. There we go. That's the, new cast. It's simple and easy. But again, next row, it's gonna be a little bit tricky, too tight if you pull too hard. So just be patient and take your time. That's the key. After leg opening is done, it's so easy. You just have to focus on the back design because you're not gonna increase any more around the chest. Actually, I am going to decrease some stitch because my dog tummy area is very skinny. Anyway, now I have to reconnect. There we go. So you gotta knit in round still. Okay, so you have to do same thing at the other side of the dog's leg, right? After this, follow the pattern for the back, and for front, just keep knitting. And if you want to decrease some stitches for tummy, just like my dog, very skinny around the tummy, use knit two together method and make sure count evenly and decrease both sides evenly, and do not decrease so many stitches in one row. So I decrease 8 stitches in 4-5 rows, something like that. Now I knit long enough for tummy because I want to make tummy shorter because dog has to pee and I don't want to get sweater dirty. So I'm gonna put the 2 markers for tummy. That's the back part, and front, see, I put 2 markers. I'm gonna keep those stitches onto stitch holder. Then knit a little bit of the side and back. This has to be done on odd number of the row. For me, this is row number 25. I just finished the row number 24 and almost finished in the row number 24. There you go. I just done. So start row 25, which is odd number of the row, and remove the marker and transfer all the tummy stitch onto the stitch holder. And again, I'm gonna leave tummy stitch for a little while until I finish knitting for the back part. Then you will reconnect back again. So after this, you have to knit in flat for a little while. There we go. So where is the working yarn? Working yarn is with right needle. There we go. Working yarn is at the right needle, which means you gotta go back the other side. So you have to knit wrong side, which is odd number of the row, 25. This is the reason why you had to do on odd number. Anyway, just keep knitting. Use the my written pattern except row number 1. Row number 1 will change in flat. And there is pattern in my description box. Everything else is all same. For me, this next should be row number 25, which is odd number, wrong side, knit over knit stitch, and purl over purl stitch. And in between green marker, that's the 48 stitch for back design. Everything else, purl over purl, knit over knit. All right? Very simple, but very confusing. That's why you have to keep back design marker. Once you knit long enough for back, now I want to decrease both sides. Here's, the look from side. It's really up to you around that side. You can actually start decreasing right after you start knitting, flat. It's really up to you. But I knit 1.5 inches longer and start decreasing now. You decrease only on right side. Knit 1 and SSK. Once or twice. I did twice. It's really up to you. SSK once or twice. Then knit until the first back marker. So I am going to decrease 2 stitch on right side and 2 stitch on left side. So I meet you the other side. Okay, and after the back design, just knit until last 3 or 5 stitch, depend on how many decrease you want. I would like to decrease 2 stitch, so I'm gonna stop last 5 stitch left. Then on the left side, I am going to do knit 2 together twice. Then knit 1. This is right side method. Wrong side, you don't do decreasing, just knit over knit stitch and purl over purl stitch. And you gotta do this until your desired length. Again, if you decide you're not gonna make backside too long, maybe a little bit, you can actually start decreasing right away. Okay, and then 1 stitch at a time. And then once you hit the desired length, you can reconnect. Just like, I'm actually explaining right now, you can start. You don't have to, knit like mine. You just start, decreasing slowly. Right? It depends. But, my dog sweater, I kind of want to knit way longer for the back part because my dog, little, long body. So it's really up to you. This is completely customized dog sweater. You can adjust sizes. You can knit wider and longer or the other way around. You can actually knit quite smaller, right? So it's really up to you. And anyway, once I decrease enough, you will reconnect everything. So you will knit in round again, but enough means what? It's really up to you. And to be really honest with you, you don't really have to decrease both sides if you don't want to. You had enough length, boom, you have to reconnect. Completely fine because you will knit up both sides. So it's it's completely okay and you will know what I mean. Okay, so let's connect front, both side, and back piece. And has to be on right side, which is even number of the row. All right? So just keep doing whatever you are doing. I have a little bit of the stitch left, outside of the back marker. So I'm going to decrease some stitch still and then do the back design still. There you go, knit one and two SSK. And this is again up to you. And another SSK. There you go. And then knit till the marker. And still back design. And I just finished the back design and knit two together twice, then knit one. Now here's a side. Before you knit up on the side, you have to transfer tummy stitch onto left needle first. Gotta be ready, ready, ready. And then you have to knit up both sides. And I'll show you how to do it. There we go. Here comes side. At the very edge of the side, you just knit up. Pretend that you have stitch. And don't pick too many and don't pick too less. And you should count because you want to pick up the stitches same number for the other side as well. And the whole stitch has to be multiple of two because after this you have to do rib again. And you really have to knit up right on the edge. And now it's a tummy part. And easy, just knit straight. Then the other side, you gotta do same thing. And again, make sure whole stitch has to be multiple of two. So you kind of have to adjust if you have to. After connect one round, put begin marker, then all knit one round. After you knit one round, start making rib, which is repeat of knit one and purl one. From the second row, knit over knit stitch and purl over purl stitch until your desired length. I did about 1 inch and then cast off. Obviously, cast off is knit over knit and purl over purl stitch cast off. And some people says it's kind of tough to cast off with purl stitch, but this is easy. I just made purl and put the yarn at the back before the bind off. If you have a working yarn out front, it's really hard to cast off. So whenever you bind off, put the yarn at the back like that. Then bind off. It's much easier. I think this is it. After cast off, just leave the ends off. I love cable knitting. Sometimes very challenging, but if you take your time, it's not that difficult. And I should have used one color of yarn, because with this yarn it's kind of hard to see the design really, but I still like it, and I like to wear same stuff with my dog. But unfortunately it's been nice weather, so my dog doesn't want to wear the sweater anymore. But hey, that's okay. I had a great time. This time you learn 4 different cable methods. This is the complete sweater, double neck, leash opening, and increase around the chest towards the leg opening. And leg opening is big enough. After that, I decrease some stitch around the tummy because my dog very skinny around the tummy. And then longer length for back, reconnect, then rip. That's about it. Enjoy knitting!